Built with significant promise as the French aviation industry attempted to regain its once strong position in the airliner market, the Aérospatiale SN 601 Corvette was one of the earliest business jets to have entered sales, but due to various factors including delays to the program, the crash of its first prototype, and an inability to find distributors in America, it was also one of the worst-selling in aircraft history. The Corvette began life as a result of the French government's overarching policy to re-establish its once thriving aircraft industry following the devastation of World War II. This state initiative starting with the creation of piston-powered airliners such as the Breguet Dupont, the SNK's Armagnac, and the Sud-Ouest Bretagne, all of which struggled to see commercial success outside their Gallic homeland. In the mid-1960s, the government requested that the surviving aircraft manufacturers of France submit proposals for a compact twin-turbofan liaison model and trainer, with the then separate Sud-Aviation and Nord-Aviation electing to jointly develop an executive jet designated the SN 600 Diplomat in January 1968, while the French SNECMA would provide a dedicated power plant for the upcoming model dubbed the M49 Larzac. Displayed for the first time in model form at that year's Hanover Air Show, the prospective jet would feature a standard business jet configuration of a low-winged, narrow fuselage in combination with a forward port-side door, swept aerodynamic surfaces, and two aft-mounted turbofans, the resultant aircraft being largely reminiscent of the Cessna Citation 500 and was also capable of potential use for small-capacity regional airline operations. Initially, the combine of Nord and Sud Aviation had predicted sales of around 400 units to a number of worldwide operators, alongside 60 examples dedicated for the French military, with the joint venture being reflected through the aircraft's designation of SN, the first prototype SN 600 taking to the air on July 16, 1970, following the delayed finalization of its M49 power plants, thus requiring the interim use of 2,200-pound thrust Pratt & Whitney Canada JT15D-1 engines, this choice of power unit later proving to be permanent. Though the maiden flight was successful, its test program did not continue in this vein, and during stall trials 8 months later, the SN 600 prototype crashed on March 22, 1971, near Istres, killing the 3 crew and severely damaging confidence in the project. Thus, a protracted period of redesign was undertaken, Sud and Nord Aviation, by this point, having been merged to create Aérospatiale during 1970, the amended model seeing a 5.5-foot fuselage length increase to 45.4 foot overall, resulting in what was now designated the SN 601 Corvette 100, which also featured a 42-foot wingspan with wingtip fuel tanks available as optional extras for range increase, while as standard were two 2,300-pound thrust JT15D-4 turbofans, and the base range was just over 1,000 miles. The second and third prototypes subsequently flew on December 20, 1972, and March 7, 1973 respectively, followed by the first production example 8 months later on November 9 of the same year, French airworthiness certification being received another 6 months after that on May 28, 1974. Unfortunately, the Corvette's heavily delayed and turbulent development process did little to help its commercial potential, compounded further by a market for exclusive jets saturated by various alternatives, the most notable of which was the French-designed Dassault Falcon 20, which was distributed in the United States through Pan American Falcon Jets, and thereby enjoyed a well-established brand recognition among buyers. Attempts to conclude similar agreements were unsuccessful, specifically with Ling Temco Vought, or LTV, Piper Aircraft, and its own Atlanta-based U.S. Corvette Incorporated North American Aircraft Completion, Sales and Distribution Center, with the last attempt for Aérospatiale to get the Corvette sold in the United States coming with the Oklahoma-based Air Center Incorporated, which showed initial promise, but never received a single production standard aircraft out of the intended 70. As the third most expensive business jet on the market after the Cessna Citation 500 and the Learjet 24, it was subject to cost overruns, and with this in mind, the French government gave serious thought to cancelling the program altogether, the final nail coming after 24 units, when Aérospatiale scrapped the scheme during 1976. A report produced by the government's Court of Audit stated that the company's management lacked an adequate understanding of the risks involved in the face of competition from comparable American, British, and other French designs, drawing emphasis to the $190 million loss incurred by the failure of the program, equating to 66% of Aérospatiale's fiscal deficits from 1972 to 1975. In its regional jet role, the Corvette found limited application by third-level carriers seeking to offer point-to-point hub bypassing services on routes too thin to support larger aircraft, Air Alps being the first to acquire the Corvette for regional use, employing 2 units in 1974 and another 2 in 1975 for routes such as Lyon to Brussels that avoided Paris, these aircraft appearing in Air France livery on one side and Air Alps livery on the other. The Corvette, in Air Alps service, could accommodate a dozen passengers, featuring 2 rows of single seats next to the 5 oval windows on either side that was divided by a central aisle, while the cockpit only required 2 crew to operate the airliner, though due to the limited size of the machine, there was no in-flight service due to a lack of flight attendants. Other operators included Air Alsace, Air Champagne, and TAT or Touran Air Transport, while Sterling Airways of Denmark proved to be the only international commercial operator of the type, another notable customer being Airbus Industry, who used 5 aircraft as corporate shuttles between 1981 and 2009. Although an 18-passenger Corvette 200 with a 6.7-foot fuselage stretch was proposed, it never proceeded beyond the concept stage due to the end of Corvette 100 production in 1977 after only 40 aircraft, bringing an end to France's second-worst commercial airliner program behind the functionally superb but range-lacking Dassault Mercure jet airliner, whose production run was only 12 units, including 2 prototypes. Ultimately, the Aérospatiale SN 601 Corvette's failure was the result of its prototype accident, protracted development period, delays in the development of its original power plant, its inability to secure a North American distribution venue, strong competition, management ignorance, and capacity that proved inadequate for any potential commercial roles.